Hey you guys, this is our promo before our main show. I wanted to make you aware that we have an amazing YouTube channel which features some of the great behind the scenes footage from our main podcast, as well as some amazing other new content as well that we've got coming up as well with some of our speakers, some of our amazing, I suppose, influencers and also sports personalities and Olympic athletes from around the world. It's great because you can sit down with a pen and paper. If you're extremely busy, you can make some golden nuggets just from a video. And you know what? It's great to connect with someone and see someone face to face by watching the YouTube channel. So listen, guys, go to youtube.com/Adam Strong. Make sure you subscribe to that YouTube. In fact, do me a favor, pause this audio right now, go straight to the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us and we'll see you there. Take care. Bye.
This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by Productivity Authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game Changers Experience podcast. I am super excited to be on the show with you today. My name's Adam Strong, as you know, and I have an amazing person on today's show. Her name is Simone O'Brien. And Simone is essentially, number one, she's a speaker, but she's also an advocate and an ambassador for raising awareness about domestic violence. The reason why I decided to bring Simone on is because, well, not because I have experienced domestic violence in the past, but I'm not going to go too much into about that. But it's just a really interesting topic that I think that we all really need to raise more awareness about. And there were some shocking statistics, which I'll talk to you a little bit about. She does a lot of great causes around Australia and also represents a lot of charities for good causes about raising awareness about domestic violence and supporting families. So Simone, just want to say welcome to the Game Changers Experience.
No, thanks, Adam, for the invite. I'm really excited.
Cool. So what was I going to say? I know that obviously you have a story, which we're not going to go too much into around kind of the domestic violence side of stuff. But, you know, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs and business owners, you know, from around the world. And, you know, we were talking off air about some of the shocking statistics. This was an Australian study taken, and I think it was taken around 5 or 6 years ago, and the research is that there was over 800,000 women, which is around 10 times more than what the Melbourne arena would fill. Yeah, you know, with all the victims of domestic violence in the workplace, which I found really shocking in statistics. Does that surprise you at all?
You know what? It doesn't actually. Here in Australia, we actually do lose on average one woman a week. So that's 52 a year. And we're actually above the average and have been for the last 3 years. And, you know, just in general, each and every day, 1 in 3 of us women are affected by a form of domestic violence. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be financial. It could be controlling. So, look, those stats, yes, this is an epidemic, not just here in Australia, you know, across the world. So, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. What are your thoughts of, from a leadership perspective, right? What is it that leaders in business need to do in order to, how can they play in it a support role in supporting victims and survivors of domestic violence, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be at home or whatever it is? I'd love to know what your thought patterns are on that.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the leaders need to step up and not let it be that taboo subject that, you know, it still is, but it's not as bad as what it was. And in saying that, like here in Australia, we have actually just in the last couple of years put in place that there is domestic violence leave that you can take in the workplace, which is fantastic. But in saying that, like the leaders need to know when something isn't right and have the safety, the services there, whether it's, you know, welfare checks and things in the workplace, not just on a every once a week or something like that. It's got to be daily, because women and men, not just women, are affected by domestic violence, but they've got to go to work. Is a safe place for a lot of people in domestic violence, and the leaders need to recognise that and not just sweep over it that, yep, it's domestic violence, it's under the carpet, because it if it's taking control at the top, it will just go down the ladder and everyone will be aware and not embarrassed to speak about the domestic violence.
It's interesting because, when we talk about business, right, in particular, especially in the big corporations and organizations from around the world, they'll have their, equality policies and their sexual harassment policies and whatever it is. But when it comes to domestic violence, it's like you said, it's one of those taboo subjects where they don't really want to talk about it. It's like, we should really bring that into the workplace type of thing, conversation, right? And I mean, I don't know where that comes from exactly, but it's interesting that, Australia have brought in that, domestic violence, I suppose leave and that, which is really great and empowering. But where does that taboo come from, and why don't we talk about it more?
Well, do you know what? I'm going to be honest here with you, and yourself being male, I think male, when it does come to the crunch time, they're ashamed in what they've actually done. And, I know growing up myself, I never seen or heard about domestic violence. And even in the workplace, it's only just sort of come into the workplace in the last, maybe 5 to 10 years. But it's really now even getting into the schools and things like that, because people need to know about domestic violence at a younger age as well. And getting back to campaigns and things like that, I know, White Ribbon is in the UK, and we actually did lose White Ribbon here 12, 18 months ago, but we're relaunching it back here, and they do what is called, your workplace accreditation, which the workplace for a period of 2 years now has got to go through this domestic violence ordeal to get their accreditation, which is absolutely fantastic, because it means that the whole corporation get involved, and they've got to, have the boxes ticked off to have the domestic violence workplace accreditation, which is fantastic. So it spreads across everyone from whether you're at the bottom of the rank or you're up as a leader. So it's and I know myself from my own experience, my workplace where I was prior to this, I go back every year and present, and it's on a different topic but still related to domestic violence.
Very interesting. What do you think? How does there's one of the things that we haven't really talked about is, how does the domestic violence actually affect business? It doesn't matter if you're a small business or a large business; the fundamentals don't change. But how does it affect how business runs?
You know what? And that's where exactly what I was speaking just about before with the workplace accreditation. In today's world, people have look up to actually companies if they are actually implementing these strategies in place of domestic violence. It's the companies that aren't doing it don't get as much recognition as the ones that are doing it, which is fantastic, because that's where we need to have that mindset change of each and every one of us in the workplace, that domestic violence, it's not going to leave us today, tomorrow or next year. It's we've got to just keep plugging away at it, if I can say that.
Definitely. I guess it also must affect things like engagement and performance as well of employees and that kind of stuff. But what do you think? I suppose some of the red flags. Right, we talked about red flags off air. Actually, what do you think of some of the red flags that I suppose employers and leaders and even colleagues in the workplace look for in terms of if someone is suffering from domestic violence, and what do we need to look for?
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to give you one of mine that was plain and simple, and everyone was going, "Oh, Simone, you're so lucky." A red flag I was getting flowers sent to me, not just once every couple of weeks. It was every day, and they were so big that one bunch I actually had to get the courier to take it to my home because I couldn't carry it home. So I know it sounds funny, and you're probably thinking, oh wow, this guy's crazy, sending flowers all the time. But because I hadn't been in a relationship for so long, he knew that, so he was trying to control me at work. So my work colleagues knew that I had a man in my life, and so little things like that. That's a little red flag. Like, he wasn't hitting me or swearing me or anything, but he was controlling me in a different way. So it's any little red flag, because a big red flag can turn into a big red flag really quickly. And it could be that, just say myself, Simone, going into work, and yes, I've got, long sleeves on today and a high neck, and just say I normally wear, it's 40 degrees outside, I normally wear like a singlet top or something. Her dress sense, my dress sense might have changed if, I've been bouting around last night, or if that her children are at school and she's rang up and said, oh, no, I've got Johnny home sick today, maybe he's not allowed to not letting her come to work. These are all little things. If it looks like she hasn't got much lunch, she could be on rations. He might say, well, here's $50, it's got to last us the whole week on food. Right. And of course the woman is the one. So these little things turn into big red flags.
That's fascinating psychology there. There was something else that actually I was going to ask you, but why is that domestic violence, especially in the workplace, actually, because it isn't something that isn't a subject which is a common thread as such, but why is it that this taboo is kind of developed, and where does it come from?
Not sure where it comes from. I think just over the years, because no one has spoken about it. And, I'm talking, 30 or 40 years ago, and women just put up with it, basically, and they put up with it not just for a week. It was like, 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it just got that taboo stage, that no one spoke about it. And you speak to the older generations in the workplace and they say, oh, I had to put up with this. It's only just now that I've realised the services are there, that I've been able to get help. So I think that has just kept going down the line. But now with myself doing what I'm doing, I'm trying to encourage everyone to turn it into a positive and look at the positives that we can get out of this. And, as I said earlier, it starts from our early generations through to our next generations coming through. So then the workplace mindset actually changes, and we don't have to worry about, protecting the women. We do got to protect the women, but the men are more engaged and are men, not naughty men, if I can say that.
Naughty men, I love it. Interesting, very cool. So what was I going to say, with regards to, I know that when I want to give a big shout out to Daniel Tolson, who's a good friend of ours, isn't he? And he introduced us, he's a cool guy, also a great Australian guy. You've got, was going to say, because you basically travel around Australia and talk about, creating this awareness around domestic violence, but you also have something which is really interesting, which is you essentially embark on fitness challenges and sporting events and things like that. Whether it be, marathon or whatever it might be that you're training for. Why is it that you do these big challenges, and what does it give you?
Being here, like, I'm just, a female here in Australia, and with the epidemic that we're in, I just wanted to give all women that positive outlook in life, that as I've gone from the brink of death, where I wasn't meant to survive, and I was asked to run the world's biggest marathon, which is in New York, and I actually completed that in 2018. And I just wanted to give that mindset message out to each and every one of us. We can do anything, if we really want to. And I had to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning to run 33 Ks for a training schedule, because I wanted to be awake, back by 6:30 when the children were getting up, getting ready for school, etc. So I was just, my determination in, I suppose, my whole recovery has just kicked in now and gone into the sporting side of it. And, I've got up, hiked up even Ayers Rock before Ayers Rock, was shut down and everything like that. I've done the Lara Pinta trek, and just my message out there is that exercise regime when you're going through domestic violence is just, it's such a healer and rewarding at the same time.
I was going to say it's a bit of an antidote, isn't it? You know, from getting away from the whole kind of abuse and domestic violence and that kind of stuff. So you use exercise
Absolutely.
as a way to kind of, you know, reduce stress or kind of get away from it, and that, which I love. I think that's a fantastic.
Absolutely.
You know, because I'm a big advocate of you know, fitness, as you know, and that kind of stuff, and embarking on challenges and things like that. What have you found when you were doing the training, especially when you're doing the training for like the New York Marathon, which is a really big one, like I think is one of the biggest ones in the world. I know that your message is all around sort of raising sort of domestic violence awareness and stuff like that. But I guess from your perspective, what else from your perspective can women in particular take from, you know, what you do from sport and fitness? What else can we take from, and how can we translate that and move it into, you know, running a successful business and being an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. And that's is to know that you're not alone in whether it's in the office or, you know, on the running track and whatever, that you get support no matter where you are and what you're doing. And that's what I have found in this whole journey. And from going from go to woe, I've had the support, and it's exactly in the workplace. I suppose my work colleagues, even down to my GM, he's been absolutely fantastic in supporting in everything I do. So it's just basically, if you want to open your shoulders and put your head high, people are there to help you. Instead of, I didn't want to go down the depression line, so I have taken the other line. And do you know what? It just keeps evolving each and every day for me. And I just want to help that next person. And yeah.
I was going to ask you, actually, what do you think? I mean, we talk about perpetrators, so people that essentially, we know what a perpetrator is. But what are some of the reasons why people, you know, whether it be men or women or whatever it might be, but what are some of the reasons why maybe they abuse or, you know, carry out violence for whatever reason? But what have you found some of the most common reasons were?
Most common reasons, as in why perpetrators act like they are, is because it's monkey say, monkey do. They've been brought up with it since they were young, and they honestly don't know any different. And that's why, you know, we've got to implement behaviour change programs and things like that. And it's, you know, it's down to, you know, as I said earlier, you know, if you're on rations with money, you know, if she looks good in clothes and things, you know, he doesn't like that. So it's how these little things can just irritate people and what they've seen. If, you know, if dad keeps doing the same thing over and over, well, he doesn't, you know, little Johnny doesn't know any different. So, and, you know, it's sad that the ages are getting younger with perpetrators. It's not, you know, just in your 25 to 30s now, it's even younger. So that's the scary thing, where we need to make that change earlier so we can reap the rewards later on.
Do you think that with perpetrators in particular, do you think it's also because of maybe that they had a bad childhood? Because normally sometimes it can be because of an experience or whatever it is, or they might see it as normal or whatever it might be. But love to know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that monkey say, monkey do. You know, it's if their mum and dad have separated at a young age as well, that can affect it entirely. And it's those little things that you know, it could be a fright that he's seen something, you know, not even related to the family that, you know, has caused it as well. So it's little triggers that trigger people differently can affect it in all means. And I suppose, especially in the workplace, that's where the welfare officers and that are so important in today's world.
Very cool. What are you working on right now? Love to know what you're doing in these interesting times. But, you know, I'd love to know what you're doing right now.
Yeah, obviously I'm doing a lot of podcasts out to corporates and Zooms because everyone's working at home. But technology these days, yesterday there was, 65 people all coming to my Zoom, and I obviously presented my story on domestic violence to them. But one thing I'm going to work on and bring a policy in, definitely in Australia if it doesn't go internationally, is mobile phones, is that the male doesn't have, if it's in a DV situation, they separate, that the male doesn't have control of the female's phone. She gets to take over the number straight away, because it's not cool when she hasn't got a mobile phone, and if he's, doing naughty things when he's not meant to be there, she needs to be able to contact people. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to work on down the track. Well, as COVID still is on, and implement it.
Very cool. Very good. Listen, guys, hope that you've enjoyed our show today. I just thought it'd be a really interesting subject to bring in Simone. If you can help Simone in her causes and in kind of, if you have a story that you want to reach out to Simone for, then feel free to do so, and just mention the Game Changers podcast, and we can go from there. So just want to say thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. So listen, guys, hope that you've enjoyed today's show. Really look forward to seeing you on the next Game Changers Experience podcast. Take care. Have a fantastic day. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much for listening in to this episode of the Game Changers Experience. I hope that you got some amazing value, some great insights, and golden nuggets that you can implement into your business straight away. I would really, really appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review on the button below. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.